Greetings. This is an earthquake forecast video for the New Zealand region for February 21 through February 23, 2014, where data and analysis indicates a possibility for a 6.3 magnitude earthquake for the New Zealand mainland. We're looking at an animated view of the two key planetary alignments that are occurring during this time frame. We're now looking at the February ephemeris, and there's a lot of action for the month in terms of planetary alignments and celestial influence. We have Earth-Sun-Mercury forming an alignment on the 15th of February, and this has significant influence with the New Zealand region. And also February 21 through February 23 is also important, and that's the main feature for this watch. The important planetary connections for this watch involve Venus and also Mars as they move through 28 degrees on February 21 into 22. This is a very strong alignment. We also have the interaction with Mercury occurring a few days later. Now, if that wasn't enough, we have the Earth and Neptune at 5 degrees also at alignment, and these are the key players and the reason for this watch. We're now looking at an image from the solarwatcher.net newsletter for the month of February, where we see the strong lunar influence and lunar declination, which occurs on the early morning hours on February 24th. So I do feel that there's a strong culmination of energies occurring around this time frame, where I feel a very strong and shallow earthquake may be possible based on these influences. We're now looking at two charts for the Christchurch region for February 21 and 23, and looking at these dates heliocentrically, with the main influences being Moon and Jupiter on these days. Jupiter squares Uranus, Saturn squares Mercury on February 21, but the Moon's influence is very strong. We have the Moon moving into a very strong trine aspect with Jupiter, Earth and Neptune. We're now looking at the chart on the right hand side, which is for February 23rd. We have the Moon moving away from this very strong trine aspect and then moves into a very strong square aspect with Earth and Neptune. Mars is featured strongly, trining Earth Neptune as well on this day. And both of these charts we have Jupiter opposing Pluto. Now, this is a very strongly aspected time frame. I'm expecting a possibility of a very strong earthquake, so it's definitely a time frame we need to watch and monitor for the New Zealand region. We're now looking at February 15th a little bit more closely, mainly due to the important alignment of Earth-Sun-Mercury, which has had strong influences for the New Zealand region with very large earthquakes, especially over the last 3 years. Now, those earthquakes have coincided with lunar perigees and also the declination of Sun and Mercury, but it's not the case this time round. So I do not feel a very powerful earthquake will occur on February 15 or 16. I do feel it may be an event, but possibly northern Iran or around the equatorial regions up towards Haiti or even Dominican Republic. As we can see from this image, the entire inner solar system is almost at perfect alignment, so there's a very strong harmonic resonance that will be in play. But the issue is, a week later we have another series of connections involving Earth and the Sun, so these reconnections may actually be a very large release or a seismic adjustment, and that's the main concern for February 21 into 23. We're now going to touch briefly on September 2010, where a 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck Darfield, Canterbury. This was a widely felt earthquake felt across all of New Zealand. Now, this also had an Earth-Sun-Mercury alignment. And just 5 months later, a magnitude 6.3 earthquake struck Christchurch and 185 people lost their lives. This also was an Earth-Sun-Mercury alignment. Now, if we have a look closer at the Earth-Sun-Mercury alignment for September 4, 2010 and February 15, 2014, we have 1,260 days, which does have some biblical significance. July 2013, a series of strong earthquakes struck in the Cook Strait region in between both islands of New Zealand. Now, this new series of earthquakes was a concern, and this was followed up by another large 6.5 magnitude earthquake in August. Now, these three earthquakes had very strong harmonic signatures, which are mirrored for February 21, 22 and 23. So I'm concerned that we may see a similar event, possibly 1 or 2 earthquakes, possibly even 3 for the New Zealand region during this time frame. There are 2 areas across New Zealand which will be of interest for this watch. My main area for concern will be again for the Cook Strait region. However, a slightly more southward profile may be the result this time round. I do feel there's a strong likelihood of a very powerful earthquake and shallow, possibly 6.3 magnitude, maybe a little light, but I do feel there's a strong earthquake potential during this window. My second area for concern is the South Island, New Zealand, specifically the Christchurch and across possibly even into the Pegasus Bay, or even as high north as the Hope Fault, which has been quiet of late. This will be the main areas for concern. I'm expecting a fairly decent shake during this time window. As mentioned earlier, the Moon is reaching its maximum southward declination on the 24th of February at 1:25 UTC. And this is also the case with Venus reaching its maximum southward declination as well. Now, these are significant symmetry. Now, we do have strong earthquakes that have been associated with Venus's southward declinations, some earthquakes registering over 7 magnitude on this particular time frame. So I'm expecting a very strong earthquake during this window, as the influence of Venus will be strong. It is worth mentioning that January 20, a magnitude 6.2 earthquake struck the North Island, New Zealand, which made worldwide headlines. This was a significant earthquake and widely felt across the region. And this is pretty close to the areas that I focus on for February 21 to 23, which is of interest. But the important aspect was this earthquake occurred at the exact time as Venus was transiting geodetically. Now, for more information on this line of work and research, please visit solarwatcher.net, where there will be more content for members and subscribers. There's also a newsletter on the website as well. Thanks for watching.